Hi everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is July 20th and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. First up, big news on the EU front. The European Union or Commission has fined Google $5 billion over antitrust issues around Android. Not really search related, but saying they would have search related issues. So it was three types of issues they had with it. Again, most people in the U.S. think this is ridiculous. It seems ridiculous to me. Again, comparing Apple versus iOS versus Android. I mean, you think it would be two different things completely. But in any event, it looks like Google has to shell out $5 billion. They're going to appeal, but I think they still have to shell out the $5 billion at least until, for now. I doubt they'll get the money back, but we'll see what happens. And the ongoing, they have to make three major changes to their Android platform, which kind of kills Android on some level. But I'm not going to get into the politics on that. If you want to learn more, you can. I have lots of links there to that information. On the SEO front, Google has changed their image, or is changing their image search URL, refer, specifically changing it to images.google.com so that you can better track when traffic from Google image search comes to your website in Google Analytics and other analytics tools. Google Analytics is already ready for that, but Google wanted to give you a few months of notice so that if you do have your own tracking tools, you're using a third-party tracking tool, or you have a custom tracking tool, that you could update your tracking tools to support images.google.com to say, hey, that's coming from Google image search. This will make it easier for people to track Google image search traffic. It's has been one of those big issues for the past several years around tracking Google image search results and so forth. It doesn't really change Google Search Console, but again, it's for analytics tools. Trump got Google bombed. I don't think it was the first time he got Google bombed, but he got Google bombed pretty well in Google image search. You do a search for idiot, and all you get is photos of Donald Trump. It's funny because every single president since Google's time really has been Google bombed. The first one, the big one at least, was was in December 2003 when George Bush was ranking #1 over here, as you can see, for miserable failure. Shortly after that, when President Obama took charge, he ranked for who is failure. And then Michelle Obama got her share. Even Google Maps got hit, and now it's Donald Trump's time to get Google bombed. It's funny because in 2007, Google said they fixed the problem of Google bombing, but yet it's been going on and on. But, this is the internet. This is what makes the internet so fun and enjoyable, so it is what it is. Google says there's still a lot to do to fully roll out the mobile-first indexing process. So I think we stopped tracking it after the fourth batch of notifications went out to webmasters about websites being moved over to Google mobile-first indexing. But that has been happening for months now. And John Mueller was asked, any idea how much longer it will take for the whole index to be mobile-first, ready, or mobile-first indexing? And John Mueller said, we don't have a public timeline for mobile first indexing. There's still a lot to do until we get there. And I think one time Google said it might take 2 or 3 years, and might even then there might be some sites that are still lingering in the desktop first indexing process. So I don't know if Google has a timeline, if they want to have a timeline, but it's something they're working towards. Google has said there's no need to create a setting about a site being moved in Google Search Console because Google's algorithms already know and pick up on broad changes to websites. John Mueller said this on Twitter this week, saying, we already do that when we recognize broader site changes. No need to make potentially confusing settings around, obviously, site changes. Obviously, Google has a change of address tool when you're moving addresses, but internal URL structure changes don't always have that. And obviously, HTTP, HTTPS also don't have that. But Google's algorithms supposedly pick it up, and their indexing is really prepared for that. Google recommends that even if you do have HSTS, which is HTTP Strict Transport Security, I think we have HTTPS on our site here, which basically forces somebody, no matter what, if they could try to go to HTTP on your website, it forces them to HTTPS, that even if you do have that, you should still do a 3-1 redirect from HTTP to HTTPS in any event. John Mueller said this on Reddit. He said, HTTPS is great to add on top of redirecting HTTPS. But I recommend not doing that unless you're ready to move over to the site, et cetera, et cetera. But, he said you really should go ahead and always redirect if you can from HTTP, HTTPS, even when You have HSTS. Google structured data now is supporting, at least in beta, tabular data sets. This is spotted by Aaron Bradley. So if you do have tabular data sets, there is some new schema that's supported by Google. It's at least in beta, so you can definitely play around with that and see what happens there. Google said they still may add voice query filters to Google Search Console, Google Search Analytics reporting. Google's been talking about this for a really long time now. They keep saying, yeah, we're going to do it. Then they dialed it back and they said, oh, give us more details on why you want it. But basically he said, we discuss this from time to time. It's not out of the question, he said. I know a lot of folks ask about it, so hopefully it will be coming. It's hard to say when or if. I have no clue. I suspect it will come at some point, but I guess it's not a top priority. Or who knows? Maybe it'll come out next week for all I know. I really don't know. Google is testing more hotel features. So it's basically a location tab with location scores. So I haven't seen this myself, but you can see over here there's a new location tab, and when you click on that, you get this like hotel location score, and it's based on proximity to top sites, transit, and airport access. It gives you a little map, shows you things to do, highlights, top sites around the area, and just getting around like transit stuff. So it's pretty cool. And I think hopefully Google will roll that out. It looks like a neat feature. Google Hotel Search is also testing in the search results showing the average price for that hotel, plus a chart showing the prices per day for that hotel. Here is a screenshot. You can see here, again, average price, and then the prices per day for that specific hotel. Google, the local knowledge panel is actually now showing upcoming events. This is kind of a small change. I think they've had this already, but the knowledge panel, I don't believe, had upcoming events in this fashion. So you can see here, shows today's upcoming event. Again, Google had this for other things around local map stuff where they showed upcoming events and local events, but now it's on the local knowledge panel, at least being tested on the local knowledge panel. Google My Business is now sending out notifications when your local business listing has gone live. This is not for Google My Business agency people or ones with hundreds of listings. It's really just for the smaller people that post their listing on Google My Business and they get a notification that, hey, it has gone live. That's a nice little feature. Bing Ads is strongly recommending you change your ad URLs from HTTP to HTTPS, mostly because Chrome changes, where Google Chrome is going to mark those sites as not being secure, but also because it's just a better thing to do. It's better to make your website secure. The Bing Webmaster Tools API, which as we reported last week, is still broken. It's almost 2 weeks since people have not been able to use the Bing Webmaster Tools API. Trying to get feedback from Bing about it. Bing's not telling me anything. So if you are trying to use the Bing Webmaster Tools API, keep me posted. I'm not sure what's going on. Google's John Mueller shared his favorite SEO podcasts. So Google's John Mueller uses player.fm. So if you do get your podcast in there, definitely let him know and he can subscribe to it on player.fm. And he personally likes the agency types of stuff around how folks implement things on their side, those types of podcasts, as opposed to these types of podcasts, which you could get on Player FM if you wanted to. You get it on YouTube, iTunes, etc. This is more news related, but he says he prefers these types. So he specifically mentioned Experts on the Wire, Edge on the Web, Search Talk Live, SEO 101 on Webmaster Radio, and The Recipe for SEO Success. Of course, you guys listening to this are already subscribed on YouTube or on iTunes or on other methods, and I appreciate you guys listening every single week. And of course, the comments are really greatly appreciated. Google is hiring more Webmaster outreach people in Mountain View and India. So if you are interested, definitely take a look at this post and you could reach out and try to get a job at Google. It's not an easy job. And finally, congrats to Stone Temple Consulting, Eric NJ and his wife for selling and being acquired by Perficient. That's a St. Louis-based company. Nothing's supposedly changing with it outside of them becoming part of this larger company. So congratulations to the whole team there, and looking forward to seeing much more success in the future and everything like that. So in any event, thanks so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. Again, today is Friday, July 20th. Everyone have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next. Bye.